Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Detroit Black and White Friday evening edition. If you are watching, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, subscribe and share. And feel welcome to join the chat. Today we have the three amigos. I think Adolph is going to join us. He's not here yet, but we're expecting him. But we have Mr. Eric Brown, a literacy guru. Hey,
Good,
Eric.
good evening.
And Jim Nardone, former chief of police of the Trenton Police Department. Hey, Jim.
Good evening, and I before we get started, I love the earrings. We need to get some comments on those earrings tonight. Those are
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
spectacular.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, we're gonna start off the conversation, and I'm gonna let you, Eric, start off the conversation. What you want to talk about?
My topic of conversation, I read to some 4th and 6th graders today over at Inkster Preparatory Academy, where I serve on the board as the vice president. And starting yesterday, all the angst with regards to the Department of Education, I just find rather hypocritical, particularly for those in Detroit and or Michigan. And I say that because when you look at the state of education in Detroit, it is pathetic. When you look at the state as a whole, the state of Michigan is in the bottom 10. But you have pretty much the State Department of Education has been eliminated and a new division has been created called My Leap, which no one is talking about. So I just find it hypocritical that people are all in a state of pandemonia as it relates to the U.S. Department of Education, which has been a disaster almost since the day was launched back in, 1979 when I was a 10th grader. And it's like, people have to quit. And Jim, you said it best the other day, as well as last week. People have to quit letting the messenger dictate their emotions when these decisions are made. People have to understand, do some research on the U.S. Department of Education, and you will see that it has been a failure for decades. But now it's being dismantled and people are acting, going batshit crazy. And it's like, for what? I mean, the number speaks for itself. I mean, internationally, we rank the 36th best educated country in the world. But at the same time, people want to act like America is the number one place to be in the world, number one place to be amongst all the planets. And we have issues that we don't want to address. People constantly remain definitely silent about things. I mean, so bad you can hear a damn mouse piss on a cotton ball in a church. But we have to look at the situation as a whole, and I implore, and then for us as Black people, we can't talk about the miseducation of the Negro, which is a book that was first published in 1933, and then act like education is a priority when we can see from test scores, we can see from graduation rates, we can see from successes that it is not. So we can't let a person that's in the White House constantly live in our heads rent free and all this angst with regards to getting all emotionally insecure. And if people did their own research, they wouldn't be parroting the bullshit that's being parroted by the teachers union, because they have a vested interest in the Department of Education still carrying on as is. But now the rubber will meet the road, and let's see how they handle education from a union perspective.
Well, I have some mixed feelings. I don't look at it the way that you look at it, Eric, as strictly black and white. I have some mixed feelings about it. I definitely am not a fan of the voucher system, not at all. I do believe that the state of education is terrible. Um, as someone who formerly worked in worked in the school system, and someone who is currently um, teaching at a university level, it's very disheartening to see what I see, even what I see coming through the criminal justice system. But I think that, you could point the finger, people could point the finger at the Department of Education, they could point the finger at the state of Michigan or whatever state they live in. But I have always said that it starts at home. And I believe that there has to be a holistic approach. When we were growing up, not only were we taught at home, but I think it was also promoted in all the things that we participated in, and we don't have that now. And so I think that people have to rise up. You can't blame just one individual. I think the blame lays at us, all of us, because we haven't been raising heck about what is going on, where money is going, where it's not going, what is happening and what is not happening. We haven't been raising heck about it. And so we find ourselves where, as far as I'm concerned, this is where we're supposed to be. If you don't do nothing, this is what happens. So I don't know if you have something that you want to say, Jim, but
I do. First I want to say, hey, Marlon, Kenneth, my old friend Jan, A Soldier Story, Dwelia. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We appreciate your thoughts and setting us straight on a few things. I think this is the issue, right? Department of Education, when it was brought into existence, it's probably, I don't know if was necessary, but it was a good idea, right? I guess it's a good idea to channel that role, but nobody knows what the role of the Department of Education is anymore. I think that's the big question. And maybe Eric, maybe you can enlighten all of us, is what is the role? What is the mission statement, and what is the mission of the Department of Education?
Well, the initial mission when it was brought forth by Jimmy Carter was to provide equity in the South when it came to education that spread all over the country. But there's not equity when you have situations of people being educated differently. And to Kenneth Powell's comment about educational systems were broken since 1990s, and then you have I think Marlon. He spoke about the how crack brought down the house. Both of them are right, and I say that because those crack parents, babies, are now adults now with kids in the school system. Those in the 90s, when the school system was taken down, particularly here in the Detroit area, those individuals are also parents now. So I always give pushback to, like your comment, Vanessa, it starts at home. We can't constantly say it starts at home when you have a home base of adults that are uneducated. They're not prepared or capable of educating their kids. They just are not. I mean, I see it, I spend a lot of time over the last few months being in different schools. These kids come from households where they're not being prepared by those in the households.
listen, when I say it starts at home, you may not be able to read. My grandparents could barely read, but guess what? It comes when I say it starts at home in terms of motivating, in terms of pushing. You know what? Before they were born, their parents didn't have an education, but they pushed and they pushed and they pushed. So I still stand on it starts at home. And I also say
it's a different breed of parents right now. And one of the things about 4 years ago, I had a meeting with at the time, Councilman Roy McAllister, Sheila Clay, myself, and Otis Bellinger. And Otis Bellinger said something that was very poignant. He stated how a lot of these parents don't give a damn about education because they see success through the drug trade of their sons being a success, buying their moms, because most of the households are headed by women, buying their moms nice cars every 2 years, putting their moms in a nice house. They see success. They don't see education as as an important factor of achieving success. You have a lot of people that same mindset, and if you being in the mentorship program with 6th through 8th graders, being in even Cass Tech, coaching students over there and just observing what's going on. And Dwayla makes a great point. Children are raising children. You have a lot of homeless children out here, Vanessa. They don't have parents to have them do their homework when they get home. Hell, a lot of schools don't even send homework home anymore.
Exactly.
And that's part of the problem. So,
exactly.
Again, I will always push back on the no, just based on this is my personal observation. I will always push back on when people say it starts at home. My parents, I say it all the time. I don't know if my father had a high school diploma, but they made education an important part of our growing up. That's not the case nowadays. And that's why I will always push back on people say it starts at home. It starts at some homes, or should start in some homes. It's not starting in all homes, and that's the problem.
So let's go back to
a second, Jim. To your point, Vanessa, the lack of outrage is people not understanding what the literacy rate even is. If you go ask 100 people tomorrow, what do they think the literacy rate of 4th graders and 8th graders in the city of Detroit right now, they would not be able to tell you. What I did today in both of the classes that I spoke in, I wore my hoodie intentionally. I asked those young kids, what does literacy mean to you, and define literacy for me. You go see a lot of adults, I guarantee you, a lot of adults will not be, particularly in urban communities, they would not be able to define what literacy even means.
So you're arguing that part of the culture, and I don't know whether I agree or disagree with you, is going back to the 80s when it was the land of opportunity for the Chambers brothers in Detroit selling cocaine versus going to work at IBM or General Motors. And you're saying that we have a culture that looks more positively upon that than someone gaining an education and going and working for business. Maybe I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but that's a scary, that's a frightful situation.
You know what? We're going to go to a break, but I'm going to, before we go to the break, I'm going to make this comment. I still stand on what I stand on. And unlike you, Eric, I may not be in the school anymore, but I see those people every single day. I sit on several boards. I see these kids on a regular basis. And I still say those kids that have parents at home that's working with them, those kids who may be homeless, those people who and I shouldn't say homeless, I like to say unhoused. If they have someone that's motivating them, that's pushing them, they can be successful. I find it very interesting that we're having this conversation, but these same kids can do this. Find anything they want to find on the doggone telephone. Okay.
Because parents are giving them these $1,000 computers. They're giving these $1,000 computers, but they're not telling them how to use it.
That's my point. And I'm saying it's a holistic, I think there needs to be a holistic approach. We're going to go cut to break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to wrap up Eric, and then we're going to go to you, Jim, and what you want to talk about.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Welcome back to Detroit in Black and White. We've had Kenneth Powell say Eric is on point. He said that's right. I guess he's talking about you. Somebody made a comment about lottery and passing millage after millage, and we don't get nothing. Now, I don't disagree with him about that. Lottery monies and millage after millage is still not working. He's absolutely correct about that. Absolutely correct about that. And I think they have a lot of nerve asking people to pass the millages. People vote on millages. I don't even think that people really know what they're voting on. If somebody just tell them, say, yeah, vote yes for the millage, they vote yes on the millage. They don't read it, don't understand it, or anything like that. But, it's like throwing money away. just throwing money, just throwing it away. But go ahead, Jim. What is it that you want to talk about? Adolph said he's trying to get in.
I was just going to comment real quick on the debate. I guess the debate between the two of you about at home, and I think it goes both ways. If somebody's not helping the kids at home learn, and the teachers aren't pushing it, it's got to be a combination, right? It takes a village. It takes both. You know, in some instances, the teachers are pushing harder than the parents, but it's going to be very difficult for a kid to get up and do well without some kind of support from at home. Like one of our viewers said, kids living in cars. It's. Go ahead, Eric.
But here's the $1 million question that no one is even trying to address. Every state college, private or public, they have the same curriculum for individuals majoring in education. The same curriculum. It doesn't matter if you're at Kalamazoo College, U of M, Eastern Michigan, Northern Michigan, Michigan State, same curriculum. But you can have a teacher from U of M, graduate with a bachelor's, a teacher from Eastern Michigan, graduate with a bachelor's, a teacher from Grand Valley State, graduate with a bachelor's, going to 3 different school districts. Farmington Hills, the U of M person go to Farmington Hills, the Eastern Michigan person goes to Rochester Hills, the Grand Valley person goes to Detroit. Those teachers, even though they learn the same thing, got similar grades in the curriculum for getting a bachelor's in education. If it's about the teacher, then why is it that they could be in 3 different school districts and have 3 different results with students, regardless of race, but in every last one of those school districts, excluding Detroit because it's mostly black? The interesting thing about Detroit, you have Hispanics and Middle Easterners that test better than the Detroit students, and English is their second language. Both Rochester Hills and Farmington Hills, or any community throughout all 83 counties in the state of Michigan that has black students, because people want to say how standardized tests are culturally biased. But every last
You don't think they are?
in this state. My point is, if I'm in Plymouth Canton, the culture I'm around in Plymouth Canton is different than the culture I'm around in Detroit. If we want to talk about about it being culturally biased, but why is it in every school district in all 83 counties in this state that has black students, no matter what school district that they are in, fall at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to literacy? You know, so that's an issue. And again, you know, what has the Department of Education done to address literacy when it comes to black students anywhere USA? What have they done? They haven't made any comments. I mean, in 2017, 75% of black boys K through 12 were not reading at grade level in the state of California. 5 years later, in the state of California, 75% of black boys K through 12 still were not reading at grade level. And you got to remember, in 2017, they were kindergartners. In 2022, they were 5th graders. So the silence amongst our community is part of the problem. We can't expect others to do for us what we should be doing for ourselves. So the cultural part about it, again, you go to various, any community, even in the Southeast Michigan area, every single community with black kids are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to literacy scores. Every community.
Okay. Are we going to move on now? Are we
move on now? I don't have a comment because I have not. Listen, I'm not one of those people who try to pretend like they know everything. I have not looked at anything like that. I haven't looked at the numbers. I haven't looked at the scores. I have not done any comparisons. So if Eric says that that's what it is for tonight's purposes only, I will say, okay, well, what you're motivating me to do is to go back and do my homework and say, okay, now I can really have a real conversation with you about this. All I can tell you,
I've seen your my step as well as the National Assessment of Educational Progress. You can go to any county, any city, all across the country, and you will see what I'm talking about is valid.
So, okay, Jim.
So this is what I want to talk about. I went to the gym today, and I was talking to a young lady. It's kind of a friend of mine, and I know that she works for the transportation security. She's a TSA officer. And I said, what's going on with TSA? I heard you guys were having some union problems there at TSA. And she basically said, we're not having union problems. They took our union away from us. So when I got home today, I looked it up. I was like, that doesn't sound right. So here's a release on March 7th. And I don't know if anybody's heard about this. Any of our viewers have any information on this? It says, today, the Department of Homeland Security announced it is ending collective bargaining for the Transportation Security Administration security officers, which has constrained TSA's chief mission to safeguard our transportation system and keep Americans safe. Eliminating collective bargaining removes bureaucratic hurdles that will strengthen workforce agility, enhance productivity and resiliency, while jumpstarting innovation. And it goes back here that says, thanks to Secretary Noem's action, transportation security officer will no longer lose their hard-earned dollars to a union that does not represent them. The Trump administration is committed to returning to merit-based hiring and firing. This action will ensure Americans have a more effective and modernized workforce across the nation's transportation networks. So I guess my question to both of you and to our viewers and to anybody that's involved in this is, what the heck happened to the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Act, the board? Where's the UAW on this? Where are the Teamsters? Where are the International Association of Firefighters and the Fraternal Order of Police? Why can who gave the Kristi Noem the authority to just completely obliterate a union? I'm confused. I don't know where that came from. I don't know how they pulled it off.
I don't know either. And actually, that's news to me. Just like it was news to you when you had the conversation with that young lady today. You talking about it right now is news to me.
And this isn't whether you agree with the union, disagree, whether you believe they need a union or not. You can't just the rights of collective bargaining are enshrined. I mean, I don't get this.
Yeah. Eric, you want to weigh in?
How it happened the way you described, again, I have no idea, because it's not easy to get rid of a union. I mean, having worked at Ford in HR labor relations, it would have been impossible for someone to walk in there and say, we're getting rid of the union tomorrow. Even if a new CEO of the company came in, I mean, just not possible, because first of all, you have to go through the not just the EEOC, but also the NLRB.
Right.
You have to go to the Civil Rights Division for the state and the federal government. So exactly how and what happened is interesting. And then again, here we have another deafening silence situation, because I'm sure other union factors know about this, and what are they doing about it?
And I'm sure there are tens of thousands. I don't know how many TSA officers are. I think there's maybe 100,000, whatever the number is, 200,000.
There's a lot of them. I mean, yeah.
And I just don't know how they just arbitrarily just said the union's done tomorrow, or the union March 7th.
What was her feelings about it?
Well, she's disappointed. She's part of the union. I know that in the last few years, with the right to work, people didn't have to join the union in Michigan if they were a TSA employee. But I think probably the majority of the people were part of the union. And now that the state has eliminated right to work, so either you're in the union or you're not in the union. And I guess federally, let's go back to Patco. I think it was Patco was the name of the air traffic controllers when Reagan just fired all of them. I don't know. I was dumbfounded. I never heard anything like that. Can you imagine if like you said, Ford or General Motors came in and said, you know what, we're done with the UAW tomorrow? There'd be so many lawsuits flying.
And speaking of which, you mentioned Ford and GM, you have Stellantis that announced they were giving buyouts, and the amount that they are giving is so low. That's the biggest complaint now. But I haven't heard anything from the union yet, because you would think that the union would be outraged, because we all know, was it last year, 24, 23, when they allegedly got this historic contract. But again, when it comes to negotiations, what they present to the public and what happens at the table is entirely different than, the actual numbers. They know, they crunch numbers. They know that with a new union contract, job losses are inevitable, white collar and union workers. So, and Stellantis appear to be struggling right now because they're trying to get rid of a nice amount of people. And I think 1 to 3 years, they're giving them 60,000. The next stage is 72,000. And with taxes, you're not getting much.
And we all know, maybe our viewers can wait, and we all know that there's federal union busting laws, right? This goes back 70 years. And all of a sudden, they just decided that the federal government, the Trump administration, Kristi Noem, I guess she's a whatever she is, just decided it's mind-boggling to me. I maybe I'm the only shocked one here, but I don't.
Well, I would say that it's news to me. So, I didn't know that until you just said that. And, it's crazy. But we're living in a crazy world these days. Everything is, we are experiencing so many things that is unprecedented. It is, every single day, every moment of the day, we find out something that is like, this has never happened before. So I think it's the days that we're living in. Day says, thanks to Secretary Noem's action, transportation security officers will no longer lose their hard-earned dollars to a union that does not represent them. Because I'm self-employed, I don't belong to a union, but I am of the school of thought. The union has done a lot of wonderful things for people. And so when you make comments like, when you make comments that they don't do anything, wait until you need the union. When you're in a situation where you need a union, those very same people who dog the union out end up needing the union to either get their job back, to save their job, to get some kind of relief. So I think we need to be very, very careful about saying that, making these very broad sweeping statements.
I think you're absolutely right. I don't always agree with the union. I worked in a union and I worked outside the union in management. And Eric, you can expand on that a little bit. My experience with the union, at least in my profession, was they were professional and we worked together. We didn't have a lot of challenges. That there was some people that needed to be sent on their way, and the union, if you sit down and everybody agrees on it, you move on. And I think I've had that experience more than, no, you leave this guy alone. He's not, usually if you laid it out for him in a plan, you went, this is why this guy can't be stopping cars and going to people's family fights at 3 o'clock in the morning because he is this, and this. And I thought the union was fine. And Dave, that's, you're reading the part of the DHS statement. And I think it's unfortunate that your statement says that, I lost it here, but they will no longer lose their hard-earned dollars to a union that does not represent them. And that may be true in some cases, but my question is, why does the federal government have the right to make that determination?
Absolutely.
But then to your question, Jim, there's some good and bad, and I think in negotiations,
he's always coming for me. That he always coming for me. You coming for me, dude. You coming for me. I hope you don't need a lawyer anytime soon. And when you need a lawyer, I hope the lawyer is coming up against me so I could just really give it to you, because you coming for me. Don't do that. Go ahead, Eric.
So you have a situation that they have done a lot of good, as Vanessa stated, and been on both sides of the union. When I was at Blue Care Network, before they had the union, I voted no, and I didn't think that was an environment for a union. But after it got in there, you had a few people that won that approached me. Well, why don't you get involved? So next time around, I ran for an office and I won. Then the next time I ran for an office and won, and actually being in the unions what led to my role on the management side of HR, because after the negotiations in 2008, the company asks, is there anyone on your team that you think can make that transition to management? And my name was given. As they say, the rest is history. So that's when I started my career in human resources back in 2010. And then dealing with union situations, because of my background, I was on the negotiations team and things of that nature for the company because I had that background. And there, like I said earlier, a lot of things that are already worked out between upper management and upper union leadership. Sometimes the contract negotiations is about just going through the motions. Decisions have already been made because we have and had all kinds of data. Who's coming to work, when they're coming to work, when you're talking about the use of or lack of use of tuition reimbursement. It's just money being wasted. So you move that money to another benefit for the employees. So it has some good, and you do have employees that take advantage of it. I mean, I was at Ford. There's a mom and son that got fired 6 times for attendance. Mm-hmm. They got rehired 6 times too. Mm-hmm. So that's the work of the union. So to your point, Vanessa, there are times when people, they can dog the union all they want. And even when right to work became a law, it was repealed. But when they became a law, I am a firm believer that just because you're in a union environment, you shouldn't have to automatically join the union. I mean, I do believe that because you have good employees that don't need the union, but they're paying 2 hours of dues every pay period. That's not really fair to them. I mean, you have some employees that never, ever get in trouble. They come to work, do their job, go home, boom.
But is the union just for people that get in trouble? No. And I find, we found that there are some people who said, hey, I don't need it. And the very same people ended up having to go back and say, hey, I need your protection. So, you know what? It's like to me, I look at it like an insurance policy. That's what I look at it as, like an insurance policy. Janet says workers need the union, especially to protect them from the arbitrary decisions from management and harassment of different levels. I don't disagree.
From an HR perspective, I disagree with that.
Okay, why?
Well, harassment from who? Most people get harassed by their coworkers, not management.
But it happens.
Well, wait a minute. I'm about to start. Well, we don't know about that. There's let me stop.
Well, don't bring it up again. I mean,
maybe we shouldn't say that because
yeah, I know where you're going, but at the end of the day, in most instances, most complaints. I know you're going. Most complaints do come from coworkers, not management. And when it comes from management of non-union employees, you deal with it from a perspective of how differently than you deal with the union employees. So, but then, to the point about people not needing the union, for those that opted out, unfortunately for the union, they still had to represent those individuals.
That's right. The right to work law.
Right. And that's not fair because people paid and you didn't pay, but then you get the benefit of what I paid for. Listen, we're going to put a pin in it for right now. We're going to go to a commercial. Janet said she experienced it. Okay, we're going to cut the commercial, and then we're going to come back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure? Or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation. The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit Black and White Friday Nights edition. If you're watching, we want you to hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Adolph just called. He is having a problem logging in. He's still trying to log in, so hopefully he'll join us. You know what? I'm one of those individuals who, listen, if I come across sometimes as very defensive, I am.
You are.
If I come
I can't even get in there. So shut up.
Listen, if I come across, if I feel like somebody's coming for me, and that has a whole lot to do with what I do every day, get this. I'm gonna come back. I'm going to come back. But I'm also a person who will sit back and say, okay, maybe, just maybe you overreacted. Okay. So as a lawyer, Marlon Holt, listen, there is a process to everything. And as a lawyer, it is my job to make sure that that process is followed.
Why are y'all letting Myron Hope? He's a fucking Trumpite. I don't even know why y'all let him do what he needs to do. Fuck, he don't even give. He don't even count. He do not even count.
That's not
Myron Hope. He don't count. He don't count.
Edward says, as an active UAW member, the union protects all members, good and bad. Thanks, Edward, for
and Edward,
thanks, Marlon, for participating.
Edward hit it right. Eric said maybe 2 or 3 people don't, however many people think they don't need a union. You don't need a union until you do. And Deborah hit on an important point. We wouldn't have a 40 work week, 40 hour. We wouldn't have paid vacation.
If it wasn't for the union.
Correct.
If they didn't have the union, and then the same assholes that don't want the union when they need the union, they need the union. So listen, so I don't even know why you Myron Hope whatever the fuck he is.
Marlon from Florida, he's a friend
Marlon, he can kiss my black ass. So you know what? I don't care.
Come on,
you know what? I don't care.
I do want to go back and address a question that was asked by Bridget Hope. She said, so what's the answer to Bridget Huff, what's the answer to the literacy problem for Black students? My answer, quick answer, more people get involved. More people spend time in these schools. I mean, I can, one thing I'm proud about is I was a part of a group of individuals, professionals that participated in the coaching of students over at CAS in this competition, business competition. And I can honestly say, had it not been for us, this young lady that came in first place last Saturday would not have come in first place. So get involved.
What is the first place? So
she came in first place in the human resource management category. She came in second place at the regionals, and she's a 10th grader at CAS. She came in first place at the state finals. Now she's going to the nationals. She's going to the nationals in Orlando, Florida in May to represent Detroit and Cass Tech. And a lot of the coaching that took place from people that were engaged and willing to assist them resulted in her coming in first place. Well, I mean, time I spent over at Nolan Elementary. We just have to go into these schools, particularly, all these people that want to call themselves divine this and divine that. Take your asses to these schools and help out these students.
So, you know what? We're talking about literacy. We're talking about education. I will say this. I'm a board director of the Y board of the Metropolitan Detroit YMCA. And of course, is the Metropolitan Youth Board. So we're going to have the director actually come and join us on Detroit Black and White and talk about the positive things that Detroit students and some students in the Metro Detroit area, some of the positive things that they're doing and some of the services and things that they can take advantage of. I'm going to go to Sherman Moore. Sherman says, so without unions, how do we negotiate better pay, better working conditions? Because I know if you raise hell, they would just get rid of you.
We don't need the unions.
Without unions, huh?
We don't need the unions.
You sound like
we don't care.
You sound like Christy Nome. That's what Christy Nome said. TSA.
You don't need the unions. Why we need the unions?
You know why you need a union.
Yeah, I mean, you came on.
No, we don't. Why we need the unions, Jim? Why we need the unions, Jim?
You just said it. Without the unions, we'd be working 16-hour work days for low pay, and we would all be making $10 an hour or whatever, $12.
Well, I'ma say no, he won't.
He's just starting stuff.
I know.
Listen.
No, he ain't. No, he ain't. It took me a minute to get the fuck back online. So, but why we need the unions? Why? Come on, tell me.
Marlon said good night. I think
don't go anywhere, Marlon. Don't worry about the bully.
Well, why we need the union?
Thank you for protecting
why we need the union? Vanessa, why we need the union, Vanessa?
As some
Vanessa,
listen,
Vanessa,
yes.
Why do we need the union,
listen,
Vanessa?
As some of our viewers said, listen, you need unions to help protect people.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm just asking, why do we need the union?
To protect people, to fight for raises, to fight for better work conditions. Okay.
Is the union saving us? Is the union saving the job?
Working conditions, safe working conditions. Especially
what working conditions that they saved us? I don't know. Come on, tell me.
What now?
What working conditions have they saved us?
If you're working in, say for instance, an assembly plant, I've never worked in an assembly plant, and maybe somebody that's watching could tell us about working in an assembly plant. But I talk to people, but to make sure that the line.
But that's not you. You ain't there.
No,
you ain't working there.
I said I'm self-employed.
You ain't working there.
No,
so,
I'm self-employed. But let me say this: my grandfather.
You ain't worked there. You ain't worked there. You ain't working.
Listen,
so we don't care if you ain't worked there. You ain't worked there. You ain't worked in there.
Guys, listen. My ex-husband.
You ain't worked it. You ain't worked it, Vanessa.
Listen.
Vanessa, you ain't worked it. You ain't worked it, Vanessa.
His toys.
You ain't worked it, Vanessa. You ain't not worked it. You not worked it, Jim.
What you mean I'm not worth it?
When you in the union, Jim?
I was.
And I'm gonna tell you, what did the union do for you?
So let me tell you, if you're a police officer and you get in a shooting, you don't think your chief is going to fire you, and the only person that's there to protect you if you have a car crash or a shooting or an incident is the union, because in a lot of police departments, the chief's only trying to save his own skin, and he will sacrifice you. You can't do that with a union, and a union.
Did you sacrifice some of your people?
Of course not.
No, I'm asking Jim. I'm not talking to you, Vanessa. I'm asking Jim.
I'm his lawyer.
Jim, I'm asking Jim. Vanessa, I'm asking Jim.
No. To sacrifice his people.
No, Jim. Vanessa, I'm asking Jim. Was Jim? Did he sacrifice his people? No. Not you, Vanessa. Jim, did you sacrifice your people?
Not in that manner. I had a really good relationship with the unions. In fact, the unions came to a conclusion with me on a couple of cases, and a couple of our officers had to leave because they weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and they were maybe dangerous or they just weren't equipped to do the job. Well, I went with the union and I worked with the union, and we got rid of some people. But had I been after these guys just for no good reason, the union would have been there to protect them, and I appreciate that.
What's his name? Eric. You ever been in a union?
I have. And somebody, I think it was Dwayla, she made a good comment. She said that, and I was in the union, the health profession with Blue Care Network. And
I'm talking about you, Eric. Have you been in a union?
I've been on both sides. I was a union rep. And I voted no when they did a card check at Blue Care Network. I didn't think that was an environment for the union, because at the end of the day, if people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you don't have to worry about a union. At the end of the day. And for those in factories that are non-unionized, you have safety managers, you have OSHA requirements. So people often want to talk about unsafe work conditions. No, there are laws that companies have to abide by, that they can lose their business if they don't have the safety precautions in place. So I think it's a misnomer to think that just because you're in a union, just because you work for a manufacturer, you have to have a union. There are a lot of tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers, and tier 3 suppliers that don't have unions because they have a good safety management system and they abide by OSHA laws.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and then we're going to go to Vanessa, because she loves the unions, and we're going to listen to the bullshit that she's going to say about the unions. We'll be back. This is Detroit in Black and White on Friday. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Okay, we back. Well, Vanessa want to say some shit. She want to talk about that she in the union and all this other shit. Vanessa ain't never been in no fucking union. You know what? You ain't been in no fucking union, Vanessa. You ain't been in a union. So say what you gonna say. Have you been in a union? Have you been in a union, Vanessa? Have you been in a union?
Listen. I think.
Have you been in a union, Vanessa? Have you been in a union?
Friends from the U.S.
Have you been in a union, Vanessa? Vanessa, have you been in a union?
Talk about the importance of unions.
Vanessa, have you been in a union?
No, but guess what? My ex-husband was in a union. Okay.
Okay.
In a union. And guess what?
Okay.
I received some benefits as a result of him being in a union. Period. The end. Sir, you come on here first. You came on here defending me, and then you're gonna come on here and then try to.
Well, I can be with you, or I can be against you.
Sir, I'm not the one. You mad because you couldn't get you're not even savvy. You couldn't even get on the internet. You busy calling me. Vanessa, I can't get on the show. And then you get on here and then you want to wasting all kind of HEW hockey stuff.
But I'm here, sweetie. But I'm here. But you never been on a union, Vanessa. Vanessa, you never been on a union. Vanessa, you never been on a union, Vanessa.
Get on at 8:30.
Thanks,
Vanessa. You never been on a union, Vanessa. Vanessa, you never been on a union. You never been on a union. You never been on a union.
Miles Wilson said unions help veterans for sure.
That's a good
you ain't a veteran and you never been on a union. Jim, go ahead.
You heard
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
I'm still listening.
I don't know.
Lord,
go ahead, Jim.
The unions, in some cases, the unions have become have gotten in the way.
Obsolete.
I don't know if they're obsolete, but when you have a company like Worthington Steel that's non-union, the reason that they pay people more and the reason that they give people time off and share give profit sharing checks and everything is because they're competing with the union. And some of those non-union people organizations have become more prominent today. In fact, in the building trades, but they're competing with the unions. They're not paying people $8 an hour. They're paying people $30 an hour, $40 an hour, whatever it is.
What the union making what $31, $20?
You ain't in the union. How would you know? You ain't.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I want to ask Eric.
No,
I want to
you
ask
know,
Eric. You don't
listen,
even count,
every place that
Vanessa.
you work, they done kicked you out.
Vanessa, you
They
don't count. You don't count, Vanessa. We
Listen,
want Eric. We
so
want to talk to Eric.
joining us. And Cynthia
And one
Johnson,
thing,
people joining us on I just want to do a shout out for those people that are watching us on Facebook Live. Cynthia Johnson, thank you so much for watching on Facebook. Everybody, thank you for watching and joining in the comments.
Is that Cynthia Johnson? Is that the former state rep?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, we leave that. Eric,
Yeah, we're gonna
are you a union guy?
no, I mean, I've been in the union, but one of the things that, one of the greatest negotiations that we did over at Blue Care Network and Blue Cross Blue Shield, we put in place because a lot of people were simply bidding on jobs because they had seniority. We put in place maybe about 15 years ago, a clause that the best person get the job. We allowed the union to be in the interview process so that they didn't think it was no bullshit in the game. They couldn't ask questions, but they were there to observe. So we started giving jobs to the best qualified person, not the most tenured employee. And that was a hard negotiation to agree on, but the union found that too many people were just getting the job for the pay increase as opposed to being the best qualified person for the job. And that was a hard tool to sell them. But at the end of the day, they knew it was the right thing to do because you just had too many people that were getting passed over that deserved the job versus people that were only taking the job based on the pay.
Well,
Yes.
some people say that, what, you saying the best people passed over for the job and stuff. Vanessa, yeah, you never been in a union, right?
You know what?
Thanks, Queen Bee.
How many times are you going to ask me that same question? I know that you seasoned, and I know that you have some cognitive issues.
Wow.
I know you have some cognitive issues, and I know that you can't hear.
She just called you Joe Biden,
Exactly. Look at him. He can't even focus. I don't even know why you came on the show today. You can't even focus. Where are your glasses? What you talking about? Why you keep asking me the same question over and over again? You can't answer?
Well, because
thank you.
Because you say the same stuff over and over again. And you said over and over again.
Over and over again, sir.
We'll be there,
nobody cares what you say. Okay.
We'll be there. I'm going to Howard's barbecue.
Nobody cares.
You invite Howard said he's invite all of us to the next barbecue. Okay, great. Awesome.
There ain't no barbecue.
Adolph, he eats ribs, he eats chicken, he eats steaks, he eats all of that.
He doesn't eat anything. I think he eats absolutely. I think he eats insects.
Exactly.
Well, okay. That's what y'all said, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you tell me you were eating pork earlier today? That's probably why you couldn't log on today.
Because he was eating pork.
That's probably why you couldn't get on.
Now tell Dave we straight on the plant-based food.
Oh no, I enjoy the plant-based diet. I enjoy the plant-based.
You're talking about plant-based food, not plant-based.
Yeah, smoking
cigarette.
Oh, he talking about the.
No, I'm talking to you. I'm saying you.
Oh no, I don't smoke.
You've been smoking a long time.
Don't even try. You're the one that's been on the show talking about you don't smoke weed no more, but you used to smoke it all the time. The only reason you don't smoke it now is because you don't like the smell of it.
Okay, we don't talk about personal stuff.
No, he said that on the show. I wouldn't say it if he had not said it. He has said that more than once on the show. That he
went to U of M. What did you expect? He just was trying to fit in.
U of M. I would never say anything that is very personal on the show that we've
Were
shared.
they doing a hash bash back then, Adolph?
He
When you were in
started it.
school?
He and John Sinclair were responsible, and Iggy Pop and the who's those guys?
Well, I love John Sinclair and all that. Listen, Lisa, I own my stuff. Vanessa been she's been God. I've been beat up on one end. God, now don't get listen.
That's right, that's right, Jody. That's right. You got me. You got me. That's right, Jody. He talking all that junk. I know you the one that helped him get on the show. Now see, he gone now.
He's looking for his lighter.
He's looking for his lighter. I know that's right. Oh yeah, we fooled it.
So can we talk about something serious real quick?
Maybe? Yeah, we have 4 minutes to talk about it.
And I'll be real brief. So in the last week or so, an active duty police officer in Huron Township who was a retired Romulus police officer took his life in the parking lot of the police station. He's been a policeman his whole life, and he has a couple kids and he lives by our friend Teresa's lives on her little court. So thinking about that family. And just this week here in Trenton, a former police officer shot his wife and then shot himself in the head. He is deceased. She's still alive. People we have to work together, right? We have to reach out and people are in need, and we need to work with our friends, right? I didn't know the guy that died last week, but the guy that died this week, I had some professional, I had some things with him, and he had some challenges over the years, but he shot his wife and then shot himself. But, I had a positive experience with him, and it's very sad. It didn't have to happen. So, and it's not because he's a police officer. It's just hold your people close, because there's a lot of people suffering, and all of a sudden this time of year, it seems that a lot of people are taking their own lives. And if you can get close to somebody that's having some challenges, just give it a try. Don't regret tomorrow what you could have done today if you have somebody in need, a friend or family. That's all.
I agree with you. Howard says we all need prayers, Jim. He's absolutely correct. And my heart goes out to the family of those who have lost their loved ones. I can't imagine anything like that. And a lot of times people are suffering in silence. You have no idea what inner turmoil is going on. And when we find out, it's usually too late. That's very sad. So, Day says, nice choice of words, Jim. And Janice said, yes, prayers for the family. I so agree. I forgot, it was something that I want to talk about tonight, but I forgot. We got all off track. I guess Adolph will be joining you tomorrow live at Miss Shane's on the corner of Trumbull and Michigan Avenue. The show will air at 10 o'clock in the morning, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. If you want to join in, you can join in. Join in the comment section, or you could come down and join the crew of Detroit in Black and White at McShane's tomorrow morning. So with that being said, Eric, what are your parting thoughts? Jim, what are yours? And then I'll give you mine.
Mine is simple. U of M got to play better tomorrow than they did yesterday. I mean, they won, but it wasn't a pretty picture. So they definitely got to play better tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness.
Howard.
Oh, my gosh. My heart goes out to you. Oh, my gosh.
Our hearts bleed for you, Howard, and anybody else that's going through that. And it's just sometimes you can't reach people, but we got, if we have a chance, we just, it's very sad. I had some thoughts, but I was Howard. I lost my way there. And I was going to say to everybody that's watching or listening, thank you so much for everything you do. And Marlon, we don't always agree. We don't agree. We all appreciate everybody's comments and thoughts, whether we agree or don't agree. And on this show, we don't always agree and we don't always have the same position. And our lives dictate to us, decide how we feel about some things, and they won't change. And stick up for what you believe in, whether people agree with you or not.
Yeah. And Marlon, I was trying to say before Adolph interjected is that I went back and I rethought about what you were asking. You actually were not coming for me, and I got it. But listen, it's time for us to sign off. It is 9:30. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday night. Listen, as Jim said, we don't all agree, but guess what? We all love each other and we all respect each other's different point of views. So sometimes we just shooting the breeze and we just going back and forth because that's what we do. We like to have fun, but we love you guys. We love each other. You all have a wonderful Friday night. See you tomorrow morning. Thanks.